Exclusively for Hampton Roads, Cox Communications presents Cox Business Television.
Welcome back to CBTV. I'm Mike Bram. We heard in our first segment about what was called on the cover of Inside Business, the new normal for the Port of Virginia. Joining us now are two individuals whose job it is to help businesses understand the role of the port and the new normal for the local economy. Chris Gullickson is Business Recruitment Manager for the Hampton Roads Economic Development Alliance. For HREDA, the port is the tool to attract business. And Russell Held is Deputy Executive Director of Development at the Virginia Port Authority and Chair of the Vision Hampton Roads Port and Maritime Task Force. So gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here, Mark.
Thank you.
In the last segment, we were really talking about how the new normal, in some regards, may be the great cooperation, it sounds like, that's starting to happen around the port. Your all's role really is to help tell this incredible story, both domestically but also around the world. And you're really still quite bullish. The new normal maybe is from a cooperation perspective, going great. And the newspaper may have said that to lower expectations, but you all are bullish on what really this whole opportunity is about.
We're seeing growth come back. As the economy is improving, we're seeing the numbers improve at the port too. But certainly short-term, mid-term, long-term, we remain bullish. And as you mentioned, the cooperation between organizations like the VPA and the HREDA and on with the cities and the state is really stronger than ever. And as we send that message out around the world, we're seeing better results on that too.
And how do your all's two organizations, work cooperatively to tell this story around the world, really?
Well, the Virginia Port Authority and HREDA will come together on joint marketing efforts throughout the world, and we'll have meetings with key stakeholders, if it's manufacturers, shippers, 3PLs, consultants, and we'll tell the story of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, the Virginia Port Authority, and then hone it in on Hampton Roads and what Hampton Roads has to offer those companies.
Right. And what we were talking about earlier is that maybe we're seeing right now exports are actually outpacing imports. Is that correct?
Right. That is the case. Some manufacturing in that, a lot of that being agricultural items, but because of the weaker dollar, we're seeing the exports pick up. And that's one of the beauties of the port as an economic engine, in that as the stronger dollar or weaker dollar changes, we see businesses able to thrive from the imports or the exports.
Okay. And in your all's role, your purpose is to tell the story, but also attract new businesses to this area, correct?
That's right.
Is there one or two key value propositions which you all are really proud of Virginia that also plays locally for our business owners, for things which they can now actually sell or share as they're trying to tell their story, and maybe around the world that they've never been used to the global economy? They're new to it.
Sure. Well, I can tell you here in Hampton Roads, we have some of the best labor that's out there. I mean, with the military presence and the number of individuals who exit each year annually into this job market here in Hampton Roads, it's superior. And then you have the universities also play a big factor. So not only do those individuals segue into maritime activity, they also really add a great channel or flow to the local employers, be it a bank or a hospital.
And from the task force perspective, is there things which you're trying to share locally that we can be more efficient, more effective, a better story?
Absolutely. First, to add to what Chris had to say, we need to be able to move cargo effectively and quickly, cost effectively and quickly, and we have the infrastructure to do that, the natural and built infrastructure to get that done. But from a standpoint of cooperation, that is one of our strongest suits here in the Hampton Roads area, the cooperation within the port and maritime industry. And that goes beyond just the VPA facilities to all the maritime-related industries. And the Hampton Roads partnership, Vision Hampton Roads, is an effort to pull in all those different port-related entities. And I would use the analogy of a link chain, in that we're only as strong as the weakest link, and we're trying to pull together all those links, whether it be companies like HighPage, where Katie was here talking earlier, or the truck drivers, or the regulatory agencies, or the city or state or local, regional economic development industries. And by keeping all those strongs, we're a strong port community industry.
Is there an element of the local business world that could actually strengthen your value proposition that's not engaged today? Are there parts that, that if we were to talk with some of the leaders here and say, if you all would also join this, or is there an element of this cooperation or collaboration that still needs some building?
I'd say we're getting close to getting really a unified message out there. And if it starts from infrastructure and getting everyone on board, to promoting and really lobbying up in Richmond for new roads to be built and continue to improve our existing infrastructure, to selling the region as a whole, not a separate entity from Southside to Peninsula. We've really come together in one unified voice.
I mean, that seems to be almost the great story to come out of this, both the session and here, is this really helps to build our identity that we've struggled with, the north side and the south side. But if we could all focus on what are those ways to drive the economy, maybe focusing on the port, is that a unifier?
Well, absolutely. And certainly locally, that's something that's happening, and we want to take more advantage of that too. You mentioned the south side and the peninsula. Examples would be companies like Cannon or Liebherr on the peninsula that use the port facility. So that pulls it together at that point. But there's also a bigger picture too. When we sell Hampton Roads and the Port of Hampton Roads worldwide and work with Chris's group to do that, we're really looking at opportunities, whether it's in a commodity or something that can be manufactured or a need, but especially emerging markets where there's a consumer base growing or a manufacturing area growing. So as we look at into the African markets or the Middle East, Indian subcontinent, we're looking for those opportunities to bring them back here.
Excellent. Well, as we're getting ready to kind of close this section down, are there one or two key things that maybe the local business leaders need to know about y'all's organizations or your mission that you could leave them with that could maybe further engage them to help you, or are there things which you all can do to help them that they might not be familiar with?
Well, I can say at HREDA, we really are trying to create that identity for Hampton Roads. So we're out there telling the story of Hampton Roads and identifying and telling folks all these great assets we have here and why that business might really work within our region. Now with that, we feel as though we bring in new business that really can benefit some of the existing businesses, and they can really continue to grow as we increase this economy.
We only have a few more seconds.
Yeah.
As
I would say a rising tide raises all vessels. So the whole port community and the business community come together. There's a lot of forums to come together with ideas, with issues where we can work them out, engage us. We want to help facilitate that building of that community.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you all for telling the story of Hampton Roads all around the United States and around the world. Thank you for how much you mean to this community and your organizations. And I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Mark.
Still to come, 3 questions for a local business leader and the latest from the newsroom at Inside Business. But first, more from the Executive Discussion Series.
Most economies are driven by what happens at a regional level, and that is certainly true for Hampton Roads region. And in an area of 1.6 million people, we have approximately 1 million jobs in this area. What really drives the local economy are the basic sector industries, those industries that we have a comparative advantage in, place where we can really grab hold, export to the surrounding area, to the state, to the country, to the world.